drug and alcohol counselor, Dina Moran, is suing her former friend, 22-year-old client service assistant, Tasha Turner, for wrecking her Monte Carlo. Tasha says she caught Dina in bed with her boyfriend. She is countersuing for unpaid rent and bills.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 96 on the calendar in the matter of Moran versus Turner. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Thank you, Bert. Are these two of the saddest people that you've seen in a long time?
I know. I'm like...
It's just a little lawsuit. It's not life-altering. Miss Moran, this used to be your friend, and according to you, you loaned her your car. She crashed your car into a tree. You want her to pay for the damage.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Ms. Turner says pay for your own car. I took you into my home. You disrespected me, my home. You didn't pay rent, and she is counterclaiming for rent and utilities for the 3 months that you lived with her.
Yes, Your Honor.
I think we're going to start with your counterclaim.
Okay.
When did Miss Moran move into your home and why?
She ate up my food, ran up my bills, and haven't paid me a dime. And I have a witness here of the verbal agreement that me and her had.
Okay, when did she move out?
She moved out in February due to the fact that I caught her in the bed with my boyfriend.
Shh. February what?
February 6th. The sleazeball was in the bed with my man.
Okay. Was your boyfriend living with you at the time?
Yes, he was living with me for 5 years.
And what happened to him?
I smacked them both and threw them out my house.
Okay.
And their items.
Shh. Come on. When was she supposed to have started to pay rent?
The minute she moved in. She was claiming to help me because she had just started working at a job.
Did you start to pay rent?
No, Your Honor. She told me that, whenever you get on your feet, I'm willing to take whatever it is that you need, whatever it is that you can afford.
Shh. Yeah.
And I told her, I said, not a problem. I'll pay you at the end of the month.
Okay. Did you pay her in January at the end of the month?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
How much did you give her?
I gave her...
Listen.
Yes, ma'am.
How much did you give her?
Your Honor, I only owed her $250, and I paid her.
You owed her $250 because that was your agreement, that you were going to pay her $250?
The agreement was I was supposed to pay her...
Look at me. Don't look over there.
I'm sorry. I was supposed to pay her at least half, and her rent is $400 and some odd dollars, and I gave her more than half because I paid her $250.
You didn't say that in your papers, and you didn't say that a moment ago, that you had an agreement to pay her half her rent. But now you acknowledge that you had an agreement to pay her half of her rent, and you say that you gave her $250 in January.
At the end of January, that is correct.
Do you have any proof of that?
No, Your Honor. She has the receipts.
Did she give you $250 in January?
No, she did not, Your Honor. She ain't gave me a dime.
Miss Moran, Miss Turner indicated that the reason you left the apartment is because she found you in a compromising position with her boyfriend. Is that accurate?
Your Honor, she really didn't catch me in the bed with him. She caught him coming on to me, and he was on top of me. There was no situation where we were in the bed and we were naked or anything like that.
Okay. So I wasn't as graphic as you just were.
I'm sorry.
I said she caught you in a compromising position
This is true, Your Honor. And I was telling him to get off me, get away from me. You're supposed to be my best friend's boyfriend, and, get away from me.
Okay. Now we're going to get to your claim.
Okay.
When did you loan her your car?
About the end of February.
After she threw you out?
She and I had come to an agreement that, all right, I explained to her the situation as to what she walked in and saw. She walked in and her boyfriend was standing on top of me, and he was like over my face like he wanted to kiss me, and he kept, trying to pull my clothing off and whatnot. And she walked in and seen that, and she and I had talked about it. And I truthfully think, Your Honor, she was using me because the tramp didn't have any money to get a rental car.
Listen to me, please. What I want to know, Miss Turner, is you called Miss Moran and asked to borrow her car.
Yes, I did.
Now, my question is, and it struck me in the papers because you were very irate at what you saw with the plaintiff and your boyfriend.
Yes.
Why would you call her and ask her for a favor to borrow her car if you were so angry?
She was honestly my last resort. I don't want to have anything to do with the slut.
Well, listen to me.
I was on the verge of going to get fired from my job because I had missed days.
I would walk before I would call and ask somebody for a favor who had done something as disrespectful as you allege in your papers.
My job was an hour away. There was no way or nobody would let me borrow their vehicle.
And tell me about the accident that you had.
I was coming home from work, around, I get off at 12, so it was around 12:15. I was coming home from work. It was dark at night. I was coming down a one-way street. What happened was my cell phone was ringing. I went to lean over to answer my cell phone. And when I went to reach over, the car drifted into the left telephone pole. It was on my left-hand side.
So the accident was clearly your fault, right?
I guess.
What do you mean you guess?
It was an accident.
Well, I said the accident was clearly your fault. It wasn't his fault, was it?
No.
It wasn't my fault. I wasn't leaning over to catch the phone.
No.
It wasn't her fault. She wasn't leaning over to get the phone. Right?
You're
It's
right.
your fault.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Dina Moran says former friend Tasha Turner wrecked her Monte Carlo. Tasha says Dina slept with her boyfriend.
Madam, when something is your fault, you have to pay for it.
I don't believe I should pay her anything because she owes me money.
Just a second. How much did it cost to fix the car?
Your Honor, it costs,
You have estimates?
yes, ma'am, I have the estimates, and I also have pictures of the damage.
I want to see it.
I was also inconvenienced. I had to pay for a rental car.
You didn't have to pay for a rental car because you loaned her your car, and I assume you had 2 cars. Is that right?
This is true, but that other
This
car...
is true. All right, good.
Yeah, she's lying, trying to get more money.
Your Honor,
sorry.
I also
Nope,
have...
I didn't ask you anything. Okay, so the damage is $29.54 to the car. There's substantial damage to the car. Pretty nasty pictures. Okay. Now, clearly, she doesn't owe you anywhere near $3,000.
Well, she owes me for the fact that I had to kick my boyfriend out, and he was helping me pay my bills also. And now I can't afford to pay my credit card bills. My license is about to get suspended because I can't pay my fine.
Your Honor, if she...
Shh. I didn't ask you anything.
I do apologize.
Ms. Turner.
Yes.
I read that interesting and novel part of your lawsuit.
Yes.
That because of the compromising position you found your boyfriend and the plaintiff in, you threw him out.
Yes, I did.
And it's her fault that you had to throw him out.
Yes, it is.
So you want her to pay what he was paying
Yes.
you in rent, not only what she was supposed to pay you, but what he was paying you, which is well over $3,000.
Yes. If you look at my credit card bills, Your Honor.
Listen to me, my dear.
Yes.
If your boyfriend is a dog, he's a dog.
Well, he wasn't a dog till she moved in.
I want to tell you something. A dog is a dog is a dog.
Okay.
If it wasn't her, it would be somebody else. She was just convenient.
She came on
Listen to
him.
me. Listen to me. She was just convenient. And certainly,
Well-
you're not married to this man. There is no lawsuit for alienation of affection because you don't have a commitment to this guy, and he didn't have a commitment to you.
Well, I was with him for 5
Boyfriend.
years.
Boyfriend is not husband.
Okay.
If you were with him for 5 years, how come you weren't married?
He didn't propose to me.
That should have given you a clue. That should have been a clue in year 2, not year 5. The fact that he wasn't committing to you and still looking around to see what else was out there should have been evident to you. The fact that you were with him, committed to him, but he wasn't committed enough to propose, right?
You're right.
Good. Okay. She owes you $250 because I don't believe she gave you $250. So I'm deducting the $250 from the $29.54, which leaves $2,704 if my math is correct.
You got it.
Thank you very much, judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was a dog anyway, so, you know, a dog is a dog. If he cheats, he cheats. He's always going to do it.
I caught her in bed with him. They were both together in bed giving him...
When there's something as fine as me in front of him, that it's a problem.
I think she came on to him because she's like that. She flaunts herself around town like that.
She was drunk. She told me she's coming home at 12 o'clock from work. She wasn't working at 12.
She was my best friend for 9 years, but the tramp isn't anymore.
She was out at the club, and I know she was out at the club because we party all night when we do party.
Don't trust your best friend around your man.
It's a sad thing to say. You know, they claim they're your friend, but they'll wreck your car in the end, so you better watch.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kangas versus Kangas, step forward, please.
Licensed investigator Paul Kangas is suing his son, 21-year-old movie theater clerk Shane Kangas, for unauthorized credit card charges and for money owed on a computer. Shane says he worked off the debt by working in the family business.
Mr. Kangas, this young man is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
How old is he?
21.
What do you do?
I work at a movie theater.
What do you do there?
I serve people popcorn, clean up at the night.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Computer technician.
Okay. Mr. Kangas, you say that your son came to live with you, and you also purchased a computer for him, and I understand that the agreement was it was going to be paid for in sort of barter. He was going to put in a certain number of hours working for your business, which is private investigating business.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that would pay off the computer.
Yes.
And you also gave him a credit card.
I did.
And told him to use it, but use it wisely.
It's to help him in the business, so when I send him out to do something, like go to the lab to develop film, that he'd have a way of paying for the film, picking up the film.
And what about personal stuff if he needed something?
Personal stuff, he had to check with me before he spent beyond $20. I have the same arrangement with my daughter, and she honors it strictly with her credit card.
That's what makes horse racing, sir. Children
Yes.
are different.
That's for sure.
Okay. After several months, he decided he didn't like it anymore, so he decided to sit in his room, play his guitar, whatever. You got annoyed. He left. You wanted to pay for the computer and for the credit card bills that he racked up while he was still using the credit card. That's what your lawsuit's about.
Somewhat. It's the reason for buying the computer for him was to motivate him. So I made this deal with him. Look, you pick out any computer you want, and the deal is you'll pay for it out of the amount of time you put in. I'm only asking you to work 4 hours a day. We lived across the street from the courts, so it was easy for him.
Well, how long did he work for you after you bought him the computer?
Several months. He was doing quite well. He was really motivated.
Well, how much did he work off of the computer?
About $1,000 of it.
That's a pretty nebulous contract that you have with him, Mr. Kangas.
Well, he didn't last that long because he got so into the computer. I mean, he'd be up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning on the computer, and I'm trying to sleep. I was trying to motivate him. I was trying to control him. I was trying to exert some parental influence on him.
All sounds terrific. Remember, the father knows best?
Yes, I do.
It's not like that anymore.
Well, it's...
Families don't sit around in shirts and ties having dinner together anymore. Everything that you did with your son sounds as if you had the right motivation. He was going to work, and he was going to pay off his computer, and he was going to be responsible with the credit card.
That's right.
Right.
But then we got into a dispute over the computer, and then he moved out and started spending the credit card like it was his credit card, and it was free money, and he just started sending me these bills for huge amounts of money.
Well, what I would like to see is the bills after he moved out. And then, Bert, you know what we're going to do? We need one of those great fly swatters that we used to have. Because there's a sucker here that's looking to meet its ancient relatives.
I think I got just what you need.
You or me?
Oh. Took a nice little nosedive right into your cup. No, they didn't.
No. See what happens when I get annoyed?
Yes,
Okay. What date did you move out, young man?
It was 14 months ago.
Well, give me a month.
June or July.
June or July. So let me see the bills after June or July. Let's do July.
Well, the deal was no crazy expenses. And
Mr. Kangas, listen to me very carefully, sir. I raised a lot of teenagers, and they are so creative with a credit card.
Yeah.
I didn't know for a very long time that when I gave a kid a gas credit card, that they could go in and get enough food for their entire dormitory in one of those gas places. I didn't know that. And I said, how could they use so much gas? The campus isn't that big. Where are you using all that gas? And then I realized that you can buy milk and juice and newspapers and cookies and snacks and eggs. And you can not only buy, listen, and you can not only buy it for yourself, but you can buy it for all your friends, because if you buy it for all your friends, they give you the cash.
Right.
Do you understand? Listen, Mr. Kangas, I know that happens. I didn't sue my children. So what I want to see is, after he left, because it was clear to me that when you left, you should have left the credit card.
He did. I took it away from him.
And how did he use it?
I don't know how he got another one.
How did you use it, sir? Shh. Is not an answer.
I had the number on my computer still, so I could still make online purchases.
Okay. Now, Mr. Kangas, what's your first name?
Shane.
Shane. So let me explain this to you. The computer, sir, is yours because your father made a too soft a deal for me to have to figure out how many hours you worked and whether or not you paid for the computer with the work that you did for it. That's his problem. But you're a big boy, so you knew that when you moved out of the house and your father took the credit card from you, you were not supposed to use it, right?
It's
not an answer. If he took the credit card, he said to you, what did he say? Give me the credit card, and if you need it, go look on your computer and get the number? Give me the fly swatter. Let me explain something to you. He's a computer hacker.
That's right.
And he's going to go into your bills, and if he has your social security number, he'll steal your identity, and all of a sudden you'll find that you bought 9 surfboards.
Then he took the credit card out of my ex-wife's purse and went back to spending it again.
Well, it doesn't say much for you, sir, that you raised a thief.
No, I feel it's the unexpected legacy of divorce.
That is a crock. That's not the legacy of divorce. I've been divorced, and I had children, and none of them are thieves. 5 of them. Nobody would go into my pocketbook and steal my credit card. So that's ridiculous.
Well, he's depressed, and I feel that...
He's depressed?
Yeah, he's got a
He's depressed. He's a thief. That's not being depressed. Look at him. Does he look depressed to you? He doesn't look depressed to me.
He's got a lack of...
A little high, maybe, but not depressed. Right, Shane?
No.
Really?
Really?
Really? No. I see $849 on the credit card after July.
Unfortunately, I put all of the receipts in a special envelope, put it in a special place, and then I couldn't find it, so that by the time I got here, that's what I had. I understand. I should have had better control of my file.
No, you should have better control of your son.
That
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $849. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I can understand where he's coming from because a similar thing happened to me and my father at this age.
We had a fight towards the end of me living there.
And eventually we got back together.
I'm going to go off and do my own thing.
I hope that Shane will sometime recognize me as a friend again, because we had a great relationship.
Hayward Berger is suing his ex-wife, speech pathologist Cynthia Berger, for the return of $300 he overpaid in child support. Cynthia says she used the money to pay for their daughter's graduation.
Come to order. All rise. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 334 on the calendar. In the matter of Berger versus Berger, parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, folks. Have seats.
Mr. Berger, you and the defendant used to be married. You have 2 children together. You've been divorced according to your complaint for 18 years.
Yes, ma'am.
You say that your former wife owes you $302.44, which you claim you overpaid in child support for one of your children. You graduated from high school and the money was taken out of your pay.
Yes, ma'am.
You want her to give you back that money.
Yes, ma'am.
And your former wife says that she used that money for your daughter's graduation, the expenses for her graduation, and get over it. Which, quite frankly, considering everything in this world, would be my response to you, too, were you my ex-husband. But since we're not there, I'm going to find out whether there is any merit to your claim, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
You have how many children?
4.
How old are they?
The youngest is 14, the oldest is 24.
Okay, and with the defendant, you have an 18-year-old?
Yes, ma'am.
And?
22-year-old.
So it's only your 18-year-old daughter that we have issue with. Your younger children still live with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how much child support were you paying when both children were living with your former wife?
When I was paying for both of them, at the end, it was $300 a week, I think it was.
$300 a week or $300 a month?
Sometimes support was ordered per month. Sometimes it was ordered per week.
You know?
Yes, ma'am. It was $760.
A month?
Yes, ma'am. This is the documentation of all the, since it's been going through child support enforcement, of how much he's been paying.
Did you ever pay, sir, $1,500 a month for support?
$1,500 a month? No,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So when you told me $300, that you were talking about $300 per month, not per week.
Yes, ma'am.
Per month.
It's been, sometimes the support was ordered per week.
I understand that,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
when it was ordered per week, it was never $300 a week.
No, ma'am.
Well, then you made a mistake.
If I said that, then yes, I did.
Yes, you made a mistake. It was never $300 a week. Maybe it was $300 a month.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to find out.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just wanted to find out whether you've been an overindulgent parent.
I've always paid what the court ordered me to pay.
I understand that you've always paid what the court ordered you to pay, sir. I also understand that you've had 2 more children and you've been able to at least contribute to their support also, and you have another family, which is really my question. The daughter graduated from high school. They took out a payment after she graduated from high school of $300, and you want the money back.
Yes, ma'am.
Explain it to me.
The support was ordered to cease on June the 14th. They took out the full month of June, and I'm just asking for the other 2 weeks that shouldn't have been taken out.
Did you ask your former wife about it?
Yes, ma'am. I sent her.
And what did she say to you?
She said no.
Did she say anything about graduation expenses?
No, ma'am, she did not.
If she said something to you about graduation expenses, you know, the additional money that she had for graduation, for ring, for gown, for whatever. Gown, ring?
Shoes, everything.
Would you have said, sure, it's a one-shot deal?
We could have discussed it, yes, ma'am.
So why didn't you tell her?
I didn't tell him because every time I've tried to explain him, all I get back are nasty letters, and I really just didn't think he would do anything. I mean, he hadn't laid eyes on her in 2 years. So I didn't think he would do anything else.
Judge,
yes.
I've done extra. I bought both of the children a car. That's doing something extra.
That's true.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right. That wasn't within the last 2 years, and I said 2 years he hasn't laid eyes on her.
What happened 2 years ago, Mr. Berger?
I got tired. I mean, I never received phone calls from him. You know, she's changed her phone number. I have tried to call, but the phone number has been changed. I don't know when. Might have been recently. I don't know. I just basically give up.
That's too bad.
Yes, ma'am.
Did your father buy you a car?
He did.
Tell me your name.
Stacy Stack.
Stacy. When did he buy you a car?
2.5 years ago.
Did you thank him?
I did.
You still using the car?
No, ma'am.
What happened to it?
We went to go get it inspected, and the family friend that inspected it said that it wasn't good. It was rusted underneath, and that it could break down at any time. So we bought a new car.
How long did you use it for?
I used it for about 6 months.
Okay. So before 2 years ago, you had contact with your dad?
Not a lot. I called him. The last time that I've talked to him or seen him was I called him so I can go up there and see him, and then he said okay, and then the day of, or the day before, he came by and said, no, we have to go somewhere else. And they left, and I haven't talked to him or seen him since then.
That sound familiar?
I think something came up at that time. Yes, ma'am.
Can't come up. Nothing can come up. Nothing.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Ex-wife Cynthia Berger owes for the return of child support. Hayward says he overpaid by $300.
All very sad. There really is no defense to it. Money was supposed to stop, correct?
According to the papers, yes. When we went to court, before we go in, child support enforcement speaks to me, and they told me that it would continue to the end of the month. He was still obligated to the end of the month. I said, are you sure? Yes, he's obligated to the end of the month. I said, okay. We went in, and the judge said he would stop because he wanted it stopped on her graduation day. And I called child support enforcement again, told them, and they said, no, he's still obligated till the end of the month. So I just,
You took it. The judge makes the order. The judge said it's supposed to stop on the 14th. How old are you?
18.
When were you 18?
March 13th.
And the overpayment was $302?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Berger?
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to get your $302 back.
Yes, ma'am.
You might want to buy something nice for your daughter, but you're entitled to it back.
Yes, ma'am.
Remember, you have 4 children.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Good. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $302.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It seems like when it counts in front of the judge or whatever, she comes off as a good guy and I come off as a bad guy.
Every time he's mad at me, he hasn't seen the children. He didn't take the children. He doesn't buy them presents, and he says it's because of me.
My daughter going by my ex-wife's maiden name shows some of what's been going on, the brainwashing for the kids.
I would have liked him to start seeing us when we were little so we'd get to know him, but we're older now and we know what happened, so.
There's many, many, many trips I've made. It's a 2.5-hour drive from my house to their house to pick the children up.
He's never tried. He cares more about the money than myself or my brother.
I would like to have a relationship with my kids in Richmond and try to mend fences if possible.
Maybe it's hopefully the last thing I see of him. I haven't seen him in 2 years and it really doesn't bother me any.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of White versus Schimmels, step forward.
Nurse Diana White is suing her ex-boyfriend, switchboard operator Tom Schimmels, for the return of $4,000 worth of property. Diana says her ex is an abusive man. Tom is countersuing for harassment and mental distress.
Miss White, you claim that you met the defendant through a dating service. You moved in with him, and after a period of time, he told you that he wanted you to leave. You did, in fact, leave. It was not a pleasant separation. You claim he kept some of your property. You're suing him for that property in the amount of $4,000. Mr. Schimmel says that the only property that he has of yours is a stove that you left out on the front porch, that he's called you several times to come and get it. You can come and get it whenever you like because it's still there. Is that right, Mr. Schimmels?
Yes, it is, ma'am.
And that Mr. Schimmels is counterclaiming because he says that since you left, you have been embarking on a course of harassing conduct towards him, and you caused some damage to his home when you moved out. Mr. Schimmels, I assume that you are legally blind, sir, and that dog is a seeing eye dog. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. White, when did you meet Mr. Schimmels?
About June of 2003.
How did you meet him?
Through a singles line, a singles dating service.
You arranged your first meeting when?
I'm going to say June, the end of June.
And when did you move in with him?
The middle of October.
When did you move out?
February 10th.
Why did you move out?
Throughout our relationship, Tom would get angry and he would say, I just want you to move out. I just want you out of here. It made it very difficult to...
So why didn't you move out?
Because then he would say, I don't mean that. I just say that when I'm frustrated. The night of January 31st, we got into an argument over something very small, and he assaulted me that night. He hit me. I have a 911 tape.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And Tom Schimmels owes for the return of patio furniture and a stove. Tom says Diana won't leave him alone.
According to what I read in the complaint, Mr. Schimmels gave you $2,500. Mm-hmm. What did he give you the $2,500 for?
That was for a grandfather clock, a china hutch, some rugs, and a computer desk, the bedding for the master bedroom, pictures, rugs, things like that.
Well, do you have a list?
Those are not...
Do you have a list?
I do not.
I do, Your Honor.
You do? Can I see the list? Who is this? Your friend?
This is my witness, Tim Flanagan.
Jim Flanagan, Judy.
Your last name, sir?
Flanagan.
Mr. Flanagan, step back, sir. Bird doesn't like anybody to get too close, even though I know you don't look dangerous.
Thank you. You bet.
A hutch, lamps, grandfather clock, curtains in the master bedroom, desk, office, rug in the family room, and pictures in the master bedroom. Then you write, by no means is $2,500 fair, something the police have been to the house 2 times, and I do not want the... What is this, Burke? We'll ask her if she can read this, since it's her handwriting.
I couldn't read it either. Sorry for the pun.
Have been to the house. I do not want the abusiveness and fighting to increase, so under duress I agreed to this.
Okay, fine. So, now, what things do you have, madam, that you say he refused to let you take from the house?
There's an entertainment center that I purchased in October, and I have a receipt for that. I purchased $2,300 worth of mini blinds and drapes. There's my antique stove.
Let's deal with this. As far as the mini blinds, etc., you don't get those back. They're fixtures. They're a part of the property, so you don't get them back, and he's not paying you for them. The stove you get back because he says he has the stove, and you can come and get it at any time.
Your Honor, he said this in the past, and he won't let me.
We'll create an order that 5 days from today's date, at 12 o'clock, you're going to come there with a, is this an old stove?
It's an antique stove.
Fine. You're going to come there, and she's going to pick it up. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, sir. I've told her many times to come get it, and she refused to do that, and I've given her, all of her stuff.
Fine. Terrific. The entertainment center. What about the entertainment center, sir?
She said when we were buying, I bought all the furniture from More Furniture. She said that she was going to buy that for me as a gift.
Give me the date.
It had to have been in October when we moved in, because I bought all brand new furniture for the whole house.
Okay. So listen to me very carefully, sir. In October or November, that means that within either a month to 2 months, you told her to leave the house, correct? After just pay careful attention, Mr. Schimmel.
Okay.
Within a month or 2 after she bought the entertainment center, according to you, for the house, you told her to leave. Is that right?
In December, yes.
And it's true that some of the stuff that is in your home, like the blinds and the stuff that is attached to the house that I already told her she can't have back because they're attached to your house, you still have there. Is that right?
Correct.
And you are complaining, sir, that she's harassing you, because your counterclaim said that she's been harassing you for money. Is that right?
Yes, she's owes me money for damage deposits.
Just listen to me.
Okay.
You didn't sue her for damage deposits or anything else until she brought this lawsuit against you, Mr. Schimmel. So what I'm saying to you is, you're complaining that the harassment is because she keeps calling you, asking you for money.
Right.
Or her things. And I'm saying to you that it would have been smart of you if you told her to leave within a month or two of her buying you this entertainment center for the house she was moving. You should have given it back to her.
Well, I understood that it was a gift when she bought it.
I don't think so. You prepared to give her back the entertainment center, sir? Along with the stove?
I can give her the stove. I mean, the entertainment center is built. I mean, it'd be really difficult for me to do that.
Okay. All right, so she gets the stove plus $771.50. What else, Miss White? And don't go into nonsense with me, because otherwise I'll reconsider the $771.50.
I'm not. My patio furniture is there, my molded lawn chairs, my padded folding lawn chairs are there. He did return 2 of my hoses, but the ends were cut off of them. There's wind chimes. There's
don't go into nonsense with me.
A 1940 radio.
You have an old radio, 1940 radio.
That she was going to throw away and she said I could have.
It's now become very, very important to her to have this old radio back. It's an antique. She wants it back. And when you give her back this property, she's going to stop annoying you. Do you understand?
Your Honor, when it all... I understand.
Good. So we have a stove that's going back to you and a radio. That's it, Miss White. Plus $771 for the entertainment center. Now let us briefly go into this counterclaim that you have. She's been harassing you. She's going to stop harassing you and calling you for money because you're giving her back the property that, according to what I believe she's entitled to, she's going to get within 5 days. Then you say she pulled her paintings right out of the walls and I had to hire a handyman to patch up and paint the damaged walls.
Yes.
Did you pull everything out of the walls?
No.
Show me pictures.
We don't have pictures.
Don't have
Good.
pictures.
Then you have no counterclaim.
We have where we paid a man to fix the walls, and I've seen the walls when she moved out, and there was holes in them.
Why didn't you take a picture? If you intended to sue her, why didn't you take a
Well,
picture?
I didn't realize they were going to get into such an argument over some holes in the walls.
I mean, neither. So if you didn't plan on getting into an argument over holes in the walls, why are you bothering me with it now?
Yeah, okay.
Good. Counterclaim is dismissed.
Great.
There's a judgment for the plaintiff that I'm entering 5 days from today. You're to pick up your stove from his porch and the radio, which will be on the porch on top of the stove or underneath the stove or next to the stove, plus $771 for the entertainment center that he says is too difficult to dismantle. Do you understand?
Yes.
By 12 noon. Otherwise, it's gone. Consider it over.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I've tried to get it over for a long time.
That's all. Listen to me.
I'm not,
It's
you know, I
over.
mean, it was, I wasn't even comfortable in my own house.
Well, what would you like me to do about that, sir?
Well, that's why I countersued, because I was distressed and
I've been distressed most of my life, sir. It doesn't mean that I come to a court and try to annoy somebody. Do you understand? You should have given her back a radio. You should have paid her for the entertainment center.
I tried to.
You did? You tried to pay her for the entertainment center? You paid her for the entertainment center?
No, because she said that was a gift.
Mr. Schimmels, say goodbye, sir. Mr. Flanagan will help you out. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think justice does prevail.
She stole all my stuff out of the cupboards.
I'm glad that it's over.
She took advantage of me because she saw I was down and out when I lost my girlfriend.
No, I didn't take advantage of him. I loved him. You know, sadly, I loved him.
She says, if you're going to kick me out of here, it's going to take more than that. She says, you're going to have to chain me to a tree outside.
He would yell and scream and say, get out, and then he'd say, I don't mean it. And I'd say, you know, I made a commitment, so I guess you'll have to chain me to the tree.
She lived in the spare bedroom and wouldn't pay attention to me. She ignored me. She was nasty towards me.
After he assaulted me and he pushed me and the police were there, you know, it got pretty scary. It was time to go.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Perry versus Bartle. Step forward.
Homemaker Lynn Perry is suing Travis and Michelle Bartle for the cost of vet bills. Lynn says Michelle's 12-year-old son, Matthew Fry, beat on her cat with a stick.
Miss Perry, Mr. and Mrs. Bartle's son injured your cat with a stick, and you want them to pay the vet bills. And Mr. and Mrs. Bartle seem to say it was the cat's fault because the cat was out running loose, and the cat should not have been running loose. That's your defense, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You, over here.
Seat up here, okay?
So, you watch me. Don't take your eyes off me for a second. Your son told you the following story, which I gather from your answer, that he was riding down the street at his grandmother's house, and a dog was chasing him in the middle of the street.
Yes, ma'am.
And he had a stick, and he accidentally hit the cat.
That's what he told me.
And that's what you believe.
He told me that the bike hit the cat, and then the stick hit the cat too, yeah.
Oh. Now, your cat was seriously injured.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of a cat is it?
She's actually a mutt. She's pure white, one blue eye, one gray eye, 16 years old.
Managed to get through 16 years before she met this young man.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of injuries did she have?
She's lost some sight in her left eye, and she was bleeding from her nose and her mouth when the incident happened.
You're 12 years old?
Yes.
You do okay in school?
Yeah.
When did you go to your grandmother's house that day, Matthew?
We went over there that morning.
Who went over there?
Me and my two sisters.
Now, there came a point at some time that you were outside on your bike.
Yeah.
Who were you riding with, yourself or with your sisters?
I was by myself. It was after I took my sisters to their friends.
And about how far was that? A block, 2 blocks?
About a block.
Did you have any trouble taking your sisters over to their friend's house?
No.
Did you have any trouble coming back?
Look
at me.
The dog.
Look at me.
I was getting chased by the dog.
Oh,
on
that's
the way
what
to
you
my
just
friends.
don't. Was it a big dog?
It was a bulldog. It was about up to my knees.
And where did that big bulldog start to chase you, Matthew?
Right as a stop sign after I was coming down the hill, I was going to turn down and go down the hill, and it started chasing me.
And you didn't get off your bike from the time the bulldog started to chase you until the time you hit the cat. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you tell me when you got this stick. Is not an answer. Look right here.
I left with the stick from my grandma's.
You did?
Yes.
Why would you leave carrying a stick?
The dog was chasing me.
No. The dog didn't start chasing you until you got to a stop sign, Matthew.
Yeah, from my sister's friend's house.
That's not what you told me. You told me that the dog started to chase you when you were making a turn at a stop sign.
Yes, ma'am. Or right as I take the right turn, he started chasing me.
Right, and you didn't get off the bike. So if the dog was chasing you, and I asked you, when did you get this big stick?
Before I left the house.
Why would you start carrying a stick on your bicycle?
Because he's bit me before, and I didn't want to get bit again. And
Matthew, I don't believe you.
My mom was...
Matthew, I don't believe you. You may have told that story to your mother and father about the big dog chasing you and the stick, but I don't believe it. You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you want to tell me how you hit this cat with the stick?
Yes, ma'am.
And I want to hear the truth from you.
Yes, ma'am.
You say yes, ma'am. You make sure you believe yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
I was riding down the hill with the stick in my hand because that's when the dog was chasing me.
Yeah, how big a stick was it?
It was a broomstick.
A broomstick?
Broke in half.
Go ahead.
I was riding down through there, and I was looking back. That's the time that the dog was chasing me. And I kept on looking back, and he wasn't there. And I turned around. I didn't know what it was until I hit it, and I saw that it was a cat. I really didn't mean to, but... So.
I still don't know how it got hit in the face with the stick.
I was riding down through there, and it was in the middle of the road, and I looked back, and I looked forward, and I hit it.
With the stick?
Yes, ma'am.
Baloney. Go sit down. It's not true. It's not the way it happened.
Well, he told me that he hit the cat with the bike and then the stick, and the bike has freestyle pegs on the front.
He was lying to you. I raised 5 children. None of them ride their bicycle that they're supposed to hold on to with 2 hands, carrying a broomstick in one hand unless they're looking for trouble. You got me?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand? Yes, ma'am. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
They may have believed you momentarily. Maybe they still do. I don't believe you, Matthew. You're not supposed to hurt a living thing. Ever. And if a dog was chasing you, you don't take your bike out. You stay at your grandmother's house. And if it was chasing you when you took your sister to their friend's house, stay at the friend's house and call your grandmother. And call your mother and say, I'm afraid to go home because this big bulldog is chasing me. You understand?
Yes,
that's why I don't believe you. All they're asking for is their vet bills. You're lucky. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $605.01. That's all. Thank you.
All these dark shoes, you may step out.
I have a 3-year-old son that was out playing at the same time the incident happened, and he came running in the house telling me that Kitty had blood.
The police came and we talked to them.
We ran outside, and of course, the cat immediately went to the emergency room.
He was crying. He was upset.
Our cat was on the side of the road sitting doing nothing, and you'd have to be pretty close to it to hit it.
It was an accident.
If they can just know what's right from wrong and help him learn a lesson, then I'm pretty much satisfied.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Blessum versus Blessum. Step forward.
22-year-old salesperson Kaylee Blessum is suing her brother, 19-year-old warehouse worker Adam Blessum, for crashing her car. Adam says Kaylee's insurance should pay.
What's your first name? Kaylee. Kaylee. That's your brother. You each have a car.
Yes.
What kind of car do you have?
A 2000 Mitsubishi Galant.
And what kind of car does Adam have?
He had a 2002 Mitsubishi Galant.
What happened to his car?
He got into an accident a couple months ago.
Totaled his car?
Mm-hmm.
When did he borrow your car?
He borrowed it around May 10th of '03.
And at that time, he had a car?
Yes.
But he liked your car better because your car had nicer...
rims and just flashier of a car.
I know you love these cases. You borrowed her car to go over to a friend's house.
Yep.
And what happened, Adam?
On the way to bring a car back, I slid on some kind of ice. So I slid off to the left side of the road and hit a tree.
And what did you do to your sister's car?
I broke the headlight, the bumper, and crushed the fender a little.
A lot of damage.
So you caused some damage to her car.
Yeah.
And you want him to pay for the damage.
Yes.
Adam says, why didn't you put this through the insurance that you had on the car?
I called the insurance company, and they actually told me that if I did, because he
was 19 years old, your insurance rates would go up, and they would go up for a very long time.
Right.
So you want her to put this through her insurance, and you'd be, according to you, more than happy to pay for her deductible. Is that right?
Right.
That's your defense.
Yep.
Are you more than happy, Adam, to pay for her increased insurance rates for the next 5 years?
No.
Why not?
Or she could have, she could have done that to my car too. We didn't have.
Listen, she could have stood on her head and had twins in the parking lot of Target. She could have done that too, but she didn't. You caused an accident damaging her car, right?
Right.
If she were to put the accident through her insurance, it would cost her additional premiums, at least for the next 5 years, through no fault of her own. So, would you be prepared to pay for her $500 deductible as well as her increased insurance premiums over the next 5 years?
No.
Why not?
We didn't have an agreement on if that were to happen. Accidents happen.
Yes, accidents happen. And the person who is closest in responsibility for that accident bears the responsibility for that accident.
Mm-hmm.
That's what an accident is, my friend. That's why they don't call it an on purpose. Had you been more careful with her car would not have been in an accident. If there was ice and rain on the street that night, you should have taken your own car. And if you chose to take her car, you assumed the responsibility for any damage that was done to the car, not her. How much did it cost to fix your car?
Total was $1,587.47.
Can I see the bill, please?
I have actually 2 estimates that I got.
Did you fix it yet?
Yes.
Good. Well, how much did it cost you to fix it?
The $1,587.47.
Okay. The other one was more.
Right.
Good. What kind of work do you do, Adam?
It's an assembly line.
You work regularly?
Yep.
You live at home?
I live with my girlfriend at her parents' house.
At her parents' house?
Yeah.
You mean her parents think that you're prize enough to let you move into their house with their daughter? How old is their daughter?
19.
19. Uh-huh. All right. Kaylee!
Yes.
He has to fix your car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,587.
Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm just happy that I won my case.
You should have to only pay the deductible.
He's been in so much trouble with the law.
Accidents happen, and that's what insurance is for.
He was probably intoxicated at the time.
She can think whatever she wants.
Landscaper Dan Quine is suing his former employee, sales rep Penny Pupo, for the value of stolen property. Penny is countersuing for defamation of character.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 25 on the calendar in the matter of
Quine.
Quine versus Pupo. Parties have been sworn in.
Mr. Quine, according to your complaint, you knew the defendant, and at some point you hired her to do some lawn work for your business.
Yes, I did.
And then a dispute arose with regard to her compensation.
Yes.
So there was some bad blood. Subsequently, your home was burglarized.
Yes, it was.
When was your home burglarized?
That was August 9th.
And it is your belief that Miss Pupo was responsible for the burglary, either herself or herself in conjunction with others. And you want her to reimburse you in the amount of $4,000. The stuff that was taken from your home was in excess of that, but you want $4,000 for the value of the property that was taken and not recovered. Now, Ms. Pupo says that you still owe her some money from this weeding job that she did a while back, but she is really suing you for defamation because she says that you went around town telling people that she was a thief. That's your counterclaim.
Yes.
Let's not get into, please, the wages, because I'm really not interested in the wages from a year ago, whether it's $70 or $100 for weeding the property. I'm not interested in that. What I'm interested in is the dispute over the wages. Now, when did that take place, Mr. Quine?
The dispute happened, I hired her to do the weeding on one house, okay? That job paid 6 hours to do the weeding and the shrub trimming.
Okay.
Okay.
So whatever she did work, and you gave her money. How much did you give her?
I gave her $70 after she worked 6 hours.
Just a minute. You gave her $70, and
Yes.
she said she wanted how much?
She wanted $210.
And that was somewhere around the end of July.
Yes.
Is that the last you heard from her?
Absolutely not. She called me 6 to 10 times a day, every single day.
Between the time the job was completed and...
Until the robbery in my house.
And what were these conversations like?
I want money. I want money. You promised me you'd pay me money. And I told her I paid you over and above what I owed you.
Tell me about the break-in to your home.
I was working late. And she had called so many times. All of a sudden, Saturday, the phone calls stopped. I get home, my house is robbed.
What do you find in the house?
Destroyed.
You have a
All
police
my electronics were gone.
Do you have a police report?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please? Is this the detective that responded to the scene?
This is Detective Gunderson, who is with the Post
You didn't listen to my question. I said, is this the detective who responded to the scene on the 9th of August?
Yes.
Okay, you can step up, sir. Detective, with what law enforcement authority are you affiliated, sir?
The Post Falls Police Department,
And how long have you been employed by them?
approximately 17 years.
Were you assigned this case?
I was. It was a subsequent investigation. Actually, an officer did respond, took a
But not
report.
you?
But not me, no.
Oh,
I
so
handled the follow-up of the case after the fact. I didn't actually respond to the home.
Okay. Did anything in that subsequent investigation lead you to believe that the defendant was somehow involved in this burglary?
Yes, it did. I served a search warrant on the house where she was residing.
And what prompted you to serve a search warrant at that location?
It was another investigation, not this one. And once I got into the house,
It was another investigation for what?
I was involving fraud and drugs.
Now, do you remember on what date you executed this search warrant?
Yes, it was December 22nd.
And who was at that location?
Penny was there.
Penny, the defendant. Ms.
Yes,
Popo.
Penny, the defendant,
Did you
was
know
there.
her before?
I had spoke to her before, yes.
In what context?
I had questioned her about Mr. Quine's property previous to that, asked her if she would talk to us about the burglary of his property. And things
Okay.
like that.
And when you got to the house and she was there,
Yes.
had you given her any notice that you were coming?
No.
And you found what?
A DeWalt drill, a Panasonic telephone, Pioneer faceplate to a stereo that were all items that I recalled were reported stolen by Mr. Quine.
And did it subsequently turn out that those items did in fact belong to him?
Yes, he identified them.
Did Ms. Pupo offer any explanation of how those items serendipitously appeared in a home where she was living?
No, she wouldn't talk about it.
Was she arrested?
Yes.
And what happened to that arrest?
She was charged with possessing the stolen property.
Right.
That's still a pending case.
It is?
Yes.
Is that case still pending?
No, they've dropped those charges, Your Honor.
Let me see.
That's all I'm being charged with now.
Well, I am not certain, madam, that the question of possession of stolen property has been resolved. So I am not going to ask you whether or not you stole his property. I have your answer, which is sworn to. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And your answer states, I was living with my parents and ran into an old, friend who asked me to watch his home while he went into prison. December 22nd, this home was raided by a task force and a few of Dan's belongings were recovered. That's what you say. I'm not asking you any questions, Ms. Pupo, because I don't necessarily believe that those issues will or will not be raised in your current indictment of possession of methamphetamines, which, according to this, you are still being charged with as a result of the raid of December 22nd.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Dan Quine says former employee Penny Pupo burglarized his home. Penny is denying the charge.
How many people reside in your town, sir?
Approximately 20,000.
So the statistical probability of the stolen items, considering the nexus between these two people, the relationship between these two people, the statistical probability of his stolen property ending up in a house where she was acting as a house sitter is really, really big.
Yes.
That's your case.
Yep.
He doesn't have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you stole this property. I find that by the required quantum of proof in a civil proceeding, which is proof by a preponderance of the evidence that either you or your friend who's in jail or somebody else who you importuned stole the property, and I'm awarding him $4,000 on his claim. Now let's get to your counterclaim. Sir, stand up. Tell me your name.
Mike Ollinger.
Take your hands out of your pockets, Mr. Ollinger. Are you prepared to testify that at some time subsequent to December 22nd or sometime after August 9th,
Yeah, it was in the fall.
you heard this gentleman,
Yep.
Mr. Quine, tell people that Miss Pupo was a thief?
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
She is a thief.
Okay.
She is a thief. And
Okay.
the truth is an absolute defense to a charge of defamation. She or others acting on her behalf stole his property. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I understand.
Good.
what
Case
you're saying.
counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,000. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He stole everything out of my house, every electronic I had.
Wouldn't sleep with him. That's what the bottom line is.
There was no sexual nothing with that girl. All right? There was never has been, and she knows it.
Maybe you should come to work with a thong on. I'll pay your wages if you put out.
Her lies are just carrying on and on and on.
How many people do you have in your city? If someone was talking about you, I'm sure it would bother you too.
She's a drug addict, and she got caught.
Anybody that knows her knows that that isn't the case. So
I'll tell you what, Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene area is going to know all about her.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McGinnis versus Carter. Step forward, please.
Restaurant owner Michael McGinnis is suing his former employee, 20-year-old student Amanda Carter, for stealing 180 sodas.
Mr. McGinnis, you own a restaurant, and the defendant was an employee of yours. She worked as a waitress. Your complaint is rather unique, sir. It is your claim that while she was employed by you, when she wrote out checks, she did not charge customers for sodas. According to you, based upon your calculations, approximately 180 sodas were not charged because you believe that it's impossible for people to have ordered that many meals without ordering a drink. And therefore you claim that Ms. Carter stole from you and you want her to reimburse you in the amount of $315. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. When did you start to work for Mr. McGinnis, Ms. Carter?
The beginning of December.
And how long did you work for him?
I worked for him for 4 months.
What kind of restaurant is it?
It's a sports bar.
Is this your first job as a waitress?
No, it's not.
How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
All right. So, Mr. McGinnis, tell me what makes you think that Ms. Carter stole from you.
My wife and I, Your Honor, went to a food show. We returned from the food show, and my wife checked receipts. And for her receipts that day, there were 18 meals that there were no drinks charged on.
Okay.
So the day before that, there were no drinks charged that day. But our policy is, all meals, you charge drinks. I asked Amanda, why were there no drinks charged on the meals? And her reply was, I forgot.
She forgot to charge them.
She forgot to charge them.
Okay.
But the only thing that the server can get to themselves are sodas, chips and salsa. Everything else they have to order through the screen. But I just can't believe, Your Honor, that individuals are choking down cheeseburgers and nachos and burritos without drinking anything.
Well, she already told you. She said she forgot.
She forgot to charge.
Yeah, that's what she said. She said she forgot.
Right. But 180 times, she didn't forget to take her tips home. She didn't forget to pick up her check.
Right.
She forgot to charge for sodas, time after time.
When you do a check, how is the bill generated?
It's generated without the drink.
So the cost of the food itself comes off the computer.
Yes.
And then the server has to take an additional step before they add up the bill and add on 4 drinks,
Yes.
and then you total it.
Yes, Your Honor.
So she said to you, I forgot.
Yes.
Maybe she's just lazy. Well, what do you think she was doing? You think she was serving these drinks and drinking them all herself?
No, Your Honor. I believe that she was serving the drinks and possibly telling the patron that she was buying the drinks for them in order to get a better tip.
That's a possibility. It's also a possibility she forgot, right? It's
I don't
also
think
a
so, Your Honor.
It's also, well, it's a possibility. It's just as possible as the scenario that you proposed, that she told all these 18 people on one day, I'm not charging you for drinks, you can add it to my tip, right?
Yes.
It's just as possible as that. You say she's a thief.
Well, not looking at the face, but looking at the proof, I believe she's running a little scam on me.
You didn't charge for the drinks, Amanda. How come you didn't charge for the drinks?
I didn't charge for the drinks because they simply weren't ordered. The bar area is first when you come into the restaurant, and many people came into the bar and bought their beer and their mixed drinks and such and purchased them from the bartenders and then made their way into the dining area where there are TVs where people like to come in and watch sports.
All right, but it's also possible, Amanda, that occasionally you let slip by.
Oh, yeah,
served the drinks
definitely.
and didn't put it on the bill, right?
Yeah.
So that's a possibility.
It's a very big possibility, yes.
Do you ever tell people, listen, I'm not going to charge you for the sodas, so you could add it to my tip?
No, I've never done that.
Now, I can understand. You said to me, Amanda served those drinks, and she got the money for it and pocketed the money, and therefore she's a thief. But you're not saying that. You're saying that you choose to believe that instead of being forgetful, stupid, she's a criminal, a thief. She stole money from you. And I don't buy that, Mr. McGinnis. I think that that's a very nasty thing to think about. Are you on medication?
Am I on my medication?
Are
Your
you
Honor?
on any medication, sir? I'm wondering why you've got this grin on your face that seemed plastered onto your face. Case is dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I can't believe you had 18 people in a row drinking water that day.
I did not steal anything from Mr. McGinnis.
And Amanda's not stupid.
It would have been highly impossible to do so.
Quite obvious what was going on.
I enjoyed working for him while I did.
I think we'll put shock collars on all the servers.
I wish him the best of luck with everything that he's trying to work with his business.
Emmett Moss is suing his former friend, Nadine Drury, for unpaid loans.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, everybody.
Hello, Judge.
How are you, Captain?
Case number 2015, Moss versus Jury.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Moss, prior to leasing an apartment with the defendant, had you known each other?
Sort of.
Tell me a sort of.
So we met one time about a year prior. We have mutual friends, one of which had asked me to get ordained to marry her and her husband. So I flew in town to do that, and Nadine was there at their house when I flew in. We saw each other for a few minutes, and that's actually the only time we've ever met in person.
And there came a time when you were looking for an apartment where?
I was looking for an apartment in the Salt Lake area.
And where had you been living?
In Seattle.
And where were you living, Miss Drury?
In Salt Lake City.
You were looking to move?
Yes.
So other than that one-time meeting when you were officiating at a mutual friend's wedding you hadn't met before, but somebody suggested that you were looking for an apartment, you were looking for a new apartment, and perhaps you could rent an apartment together.
Yes, that's
fair statement?
In fact.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in what month and year did that happen?
It would have been in October of 2020 that this arrangement sort of came to be like, hey, maybe you should see if Nadine...
Okay, but you did, in fact, sign a lease together. Who found the apartment?
Nadine did.
You did. Prior to signing the lease, Mr. Moss, had you seen the apartment?
No.
No is the answer. Did you ever see the apartment, other than videos or photographs of it?
No, I never
Prior to signing the lease?
Correct.
Also correct?
Correct.
On what date was the lease signed?
On the 7th of November of 2020.
The rent on the apartment was how much?
It was $585 a month each.
$1,170, Your Honor.
So $585 per month each. You both signed it on the same day. Did you move in?
I did.
On what date?
November 8th.
And you were still in Seattle?
Correct.
Did you ever move into the apartment?
Never.
Okay, and that is also correct?
Correct.
Because for whatever reason, you decided to stay in Seattle?
Correct.
Is that work-related or socially?
Social.
And then you contacted her and told her that you weren't intending to move in?
Correct.
But that you would continue to pay your half of the rent. Is that also correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
And you were making a direct deposit to the account to pay the rent?
Yeah, it was an automatic payment from my account to the rental.
To the rental office?
Yes, to the rental office.
Then you came to find that Miss Jury had stopped paying her portion of the rent. When did you stop making payments on your portion of the rent?
In January.
So you paid either full or partial for November because you moved in on the 8th, and you paid December's rent.
Correct.
And you stopped paying rent in January. Why?
I lost my job in December of 2020.
So I'm going to outline now what this case is about.
Yes.
Mr. Moss continued paying his half of the rent until you found a roommate.
Correct.
And you found a roommate when?
I believe I found him in February, and he moved in the month of March and started paying his half of the rent.
So you didn't pay rent January or February,
Correct.
2 months.
Correct.
And you had no work.
Correct.
When you found out that the rent wasn't being paid, according to you, in order to not impact your credit, you spoke to her. She said, I don't have a job. And you said, I can help you out. I'll send you money. Mm-hmm. Is that generally what happened? Then I'll get into
generally what happened, but there is a little more detail to it.
I'm going to let you get to the details.
All right.
And you want that money back. The money that you advanced her in her time of need, which was how much in total?
The total is $3,360. She did at some point pay me $300 back, so the amount I am seeking is $3,060.
Okay. Are those figures accurate?
Yes.
And he gave you that money, not because you were good friends, because you were a relative. He had met you one time.
Right.
And he had, in fact, said to you, I will continue to pay my rent, even though I know you from hole in the wall. I will continue because I signed this lease until you find someone to get me off the lease.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And your defense, it seems to me, to this action is that he was really trying to scam the government by depleting his bank account so he could collect food stamps or whatever.
No.
And as a result of that, because he wasn't being honest with the government, you shouldn't have to pay him back. I just want to know if that's what I'm reading correctly.
There was never an agreement
No.
payback.
That's a different story. I'm going to read this over because, you know, I'm getting elderly, and I may not have recalled exactly what you said in your answer. It doesn't say that here. It says several months later, it's after you found a new roommate, Emmett randomly reached out to me saying that I owed him money and demanded that I take out a personal loan to pay it. I refused. Emmett has some nerve. Not only did he break the lease, well, what difference does that make to you? He still was paying his half of the rent. So now you had a whole apartment by yourself and he was paying the rent, right? So why does he have some nerve? But he took advantage of me and used me to scam the system. So that's what I understand your defense is.
It is. I have video evidence, Your Honor.
Video of what?
Of Emmett.
Of Emmett what?
Of Emmett explaining why he was trying to get on assistance and how he was like, it's fine for you to pay rent with this money because I'm trying to empty my bank account so that I can get on food stamps.
It is true.
Okay, just a second. Just a second. Let's say that's true. He's going. I'm just trying to. Shh.
I furnished the down payment for the car.
Okay, so you bought 2 cars.
No, just one. I didn't have a vehicle at the time.
Oh, you know, I'm not believing you, sir. I'm really not buying this whole story.
Emmett Moss claims his former friend, Nadine Drury, owes for unpaid loans. Nadine says Emmett broke the lease they were both on.
I'm just trying to get your mindset. You know, I hate people who scam the system. But you got this money from him. And your defense is that he was trying to scam somebody else, so you shouldn't really have to pay him back, even though it was his money.
It was his money.
It was his money that he took out of his bank and gave to you.
Right.
For no reason.
That I never agreed to pay back for a lease that he was legally on. He's responsible for that rent money no matter what.
You mean so you get to live there free?
No,
Well, just a second. So you get to live there free. If he paid for it for the months that you didn't, you got to live there free. He wasn't even living there. It's not as if he was living there and you didn't get to live there free. You lived there alone. And he was paying the rent.
Yes.
Well, why do you think you're not responsible for that once you get back on your feet?
We never talked about a repayment.
No.
That's not.
Okay. Now,
we definitely
okay.
talked about repayment.
Now, I want you to explain to me and be very careful, because, you know, I've been in this system a very long time. So I know about social services, and I know about the system, and I know about welfare, and I know about food stamps. I know all about that. So you contact her.
Yes.
And she tells you she lost her job.
Yes.
Let's pick it up from there.
Okay. So I found out through the payment portal that she hadn't paid rent.
Yeah, we're past that.
Okay.
We're
I
past
contacted
that.
her about that. Well, there was...
Don't look up.
Apologies. I sent her money that night.
No. You contacted the portal, and then you had to have had a conversation with her.
Right.
If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. Let's start with you contacted the portal, and you found out she hadn't been paying her rent. That was in January.
Correct. January the 2nd.
And January, she hadn't paid rent, and you called her, and she said to you...
She said to me that she didn't have money to pay, which I was aware of because she had previously told me that she I was aware that she had lost her job.
Just a second. How did you become aware that she had lost her job?
Because we were friendly with each other. We were talking several times a week via Facebook Messenger.
Okay, fine. You knew that she lost her job.
Yes.
And I assume you knew if she lost her job, and you were speaking several times a week. Let's be very careful. This isn't just calling the pay portal and finding out that this stranger who you met once wasn't paying her rent. You were speaking, and you knew that she had fallen on difficult times. And?
I did. I didn't...
Don't go up here. Right here.
I didn't know that she wasn't going to pay rent on time.
No, just a second. You didn't know what?
On the 2nd was when I found out that the rent hadn't been paid.
On the 2nd of January?
The 2nd of January.
Just look at me. On the 2nd of January, you found out the rent hadn't been paid. What did you do?
So I called Nadine to ask about it, and she told me that she didn't have the money. And so I said, okay, I have these extra funds because I, at the time, was also unemployed. I had been taking payments, unemployment payments, and then the COVID payment.
And what?
The extra payments for COVID on top of unemployment, because this was 2020.
Welcome to Inflation 101.
Right. So all of my payments had been late and had come in a lump sum. So that is why I had extra
So your
money.
unemployment and your COVID funds came in one lump sum.
Correct.
And I want you to think very, very carefully. And you're living where, sir?
Seattle.
With whom?
At the time, I was seeking a roommate.
No. Where were you living?
So I was living in Seattle.
In Seattle with whom?
No one.
By yourself?
Yes. Technically, someone was paying rent because they had moved out.
No, you're looking up at the sky.
Sorry.
Don't look up at the sky. So somebody had moved out of their apartment.
Yeah.
Which had been prepaid in rent.
Yes.
So you were living there rent-free.
No. This was my apartment that I lived in for 3 years. And someone else had moved in and then moved out. And they broke the lease, not me.
They broke the lease, but they paid the rent.
Correct. They paid their half. I was still paying my half of rent. I never defaulted on my rental payments in Seattle ever.
And they were still paying theirs?
Yes. So we were both each paying our respective parts of the rent. And I was paying rent in Utah.
And you were paying rent where the defendant was living. Okay. So I want you to think very carefully. When you got your unemployment and your extra COVID money in a lump sum, how much did you get?
What?
No, don't look over there. You know exactly how much you got.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about it. Just give me a number.
$10,000.
Well, that should last you for a little bit. And you got $10,000 on what date?
I don't remember.
Month?
It would have been in November.
Okay, so now she's run out of funds, and you say to her, go ahead.
By the time we get to January, I do not have $10,000. I have much less because of other circumstances.
Like what?
Like needing to purchase a car for the girlfriend that I stayed in town.
A car?
Yes.
And what else?
Rental payments. That's it. Nothing.
You bought your girlfriend a car?
I did. Her car that she had was a beater, and it was unsafe.
I don't care. What about your car?
I did use a down. I furnished the down payment for the car.
Okay, so you bought 2 cars?
No, just one. I personally didn't have a vehicle at the time.
Oh, I'm not believing you, sir. I'm really not buying this whole story. You're living by yourself with a roommate. The roommate moves out. Your girlfriend had a terrible car. You don't live with the girlfriend. But you bought her a car. You didn't have a car, but you bought her a car.
I had, if we need to back it up, I had given up my car in a bankruptcy earlier in the year because of...
In whose bankruptcy?
My bankruptcy.
Your bankruptcy.
That is why I didn't have
We're getting better all the time. Okie dokie.
It was an interesting year.
That doesn't mean you don't owe money. It just means I have to know the characters that I'm dealing with.
I understand, Your Honor.
Okay. While you were going to the program, which you said it was in person, were you getting any government assistance that was connected to this trade school? That's either a yes or a no.
Emmett Moss has accused his former friend, Nadine Drury, of refusing to pay back loans. Nadine claims she was used by Emmett to scam the government.
So now you've got much less money from the $10,000. You bought your girlfriend a car, you had to pay her rent, you paid your own rent, you had other things from bankruptcies that you had before, so you have a little bit of money left in the bank.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So
don't look over there, right here. No, look,
that evening of the 2nd, I paid Nadine a total of $710, enough to cover the rent of $585, any fees it would cost her to go and withdraw that money from the bank, and she also asked for extra money for groceries.
Just a second. You acknowledge a $3,000 amount of money that he gave you. Am I right?
Yes.
Or
yes.
You say that that's correct.
That includes the money that he's saying that he spent on rent, that he gave me for rent, and he's also asking for his deposit.
I am asking for my deposit.
The deposit for the apartment back.
Okay, well, he's entitled to that. You have a new roommate who I'm sure you got a deposit from.
She chose to not.
And if you didn't?
Collect a deposit from
What?
the roommate.
Well, that's her problem because she's going to get the deposit back.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's reasonable. She's going to get the deposit back when she leaves. When you leave, if you leave the place in good condition, he was never living there, so if you don't leave it in good condition, then it's on you. I want to know about this video that she wants me to look at, where you tell her some sort of a scheme you have to get more money from the government.
It wasn't a scheme.
Why don't you tell me about it? So far, we got $10,000 that was supposed to last you for 6 months, and you blew it on a car for your girlfriend. And so you may not call it a scheme. I want you to tell me why you had to have a zero bank account.
I didn't have to have a zero bank account.
A more limited access to money. What were you applying for, sir?
So
not so up here, so here.
Okay. I was applying for a program to go into the trades. So it was like a work-study program, like electrician, plumber, that sort of thing. And again, I didn't have a job, and unemployment had completely stopped. And as far
How many years did you collect unemployment?
It was less than 1 year.
How many years had you worked?
How many years have I worked?
Yeah.
I've been working since I was 16. So
well, I'm
been
surprised
14.
the unemployment totally ran out because they kept extending unemployment. People were on unemployment for years during COVID.
When they cut me off December of 2020, they did not reestablish my claim. I kept applying and it was denied. So I don't know why, but it was.
What kind of work do you do now?
I work for customer service.
Okay. And the trade school that you wanted to go to was to prepare you for what?
To be an electrician was what I wanted to do.
An electrician?
Yes.
And was this an online program?
No, this was in person.
Where?
It was in Seattle.
And how much did they give you to go to that program?
They didn't give me money to go to the program, but the program was free of charge.
Okay. So the government paid the tuition?
I believe that.
Well, somebody pays the tuition, sir.
Yeah.
So the government pays the tuition. And while you were going to the program, which you said it was in person, how were you supporting yourself?
So
were you getting any government assistance that was connected to this trade school? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes, I applied for food stamps and got food stamps. That is what I got.
So you applied for some sort of assistance while you were going to this trade school, which you're not practicing now, and you're not an electrician.
That is correct.
And in order to apply for food stamps, you have to have a certain amount of money is the maximum you can have in your bank.
That is correct.
Okay. So that's the fraud you're talking about. That's why he gave you the money.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I mean,
just a second.
I also gave her the money because she was going to need the money for rent. Like, it was one of those situations where it was mutually beneficial for me to give her the money, but it wasn't.
You're looking up at the sky. I understand what happened.
So I wasn't going to have any way to support myself. I needed something to. The $2,000 was going to cover the rent for my place and in my place in Seattle and my place in Utah, and then I wasn't going to have anything left.
I understand that it became mutually beneficial for you to advance her the money so that your bank account would have less in it so that you could receive assistance and also get free tuition at a trade school that you didn't use.
My intention was to use it, and I changed my decision later.
Do you think the trade school charged the government once you enrolled in it?
Yes.
Yes, of course they did. And you know how much the tuition was in the trade school? Yes, you have to know. No, it was free to you, but it wasn't free to the government.
Right,
the government pays.
$1,500 was what I was made to understand.
Baloney. You people really somehow deserve each other, but you owe him $3,000. Madam, judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I'm a little bit shocked to be made out as a government scammer.
I mean, I lost my job and I wasn't able, and he bailed on the lease that he signed.
Because that wasn't ever my intentions.
I mean, I was alone. I had lost my job. I just didn't have any support.
Definitely careful about getting money from the government.
Just glad it's done. Glad I don't ever have to see him again.
Haven't had to do that since this whole situation, and I intend to keep it that way.
You know, it's so unfortunate because that plaintiff looked like an intelligent enough man, able-bodied, seemingly, and he spent a lot of time, effort, brain power into bankruptcy proceedings, trade schools that would be paid for by the government, applying for food stamps, knowing what the threshold for food stamps is so that he had to get rid of a certain amount of money. That seems like a lot of time and effort that could have been better spent gaining legitimate employment or skills at a trade school legitimately. And it's just unfortunate that some people decide to take the path that I view as more difficult in searching for ways to get free money.
Really unsatisfying.
Yeah.
If you think about it, unsatisfying.
Maybe going forward, he'll take a different path.
Maybe.
Christine Singleton is suing dog owner Kevin Free for vet bills.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2064, Singleton versus Free.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Singleton, your case is relatively simple. It is your claim that the defendant's unleashed dog bit your dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And you incurred vet bills, and you want Mr. Free to be responsible for them.
That's correct.
Mr. Free says that it's true that his dog did bite yours on, I think, on the leg.
Yes, ma'am.
But that your dog was on his property and your dog was the aggressor. That's your position.
Correct.
Okay. And you were walking two dogs.
Two dogs and my nephew.
Nephew was a baby.
Yes, he was 3 years old, and my dog was 3, and the large dog that was bit, he was 12 at the time.
So you have a small rat terrier, I think. Mm-hmm. And your larger dog is what kind of dog?
A Siberian Husky.
And what kind of dog do you have, sir?
I have a Italian Mastiff, Cane Corso.
That's a big dog.
At the time, he was about maybe 12 months old, so maybe a little bit over a year. So he's bigger now, but yeah.
How much did he weigh?
At that time, probably about 80 pounds.
Tell me about your property, sir. You have a photograph of your property?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Okay. Here's a couple of them here.
Miss Singleton, this incident happened when?
Christmas Day of last year, around 12:30, right before we had Christmas lunch.
Weather was okay?
Oh, it was great.
And how close do you live to Mr. Free?
I don't live anywhere near him. I actually live in Stone Mountain, but I was going to my parents' house for Christmas, so we were walking around the neighborhood. He lives almost directly behind my parents' house.
And I see that while there are driveways here, the front lawn extends all the way to the street. Is that right?
Yes.
And you were walking both your dogs, and were they leashed or unleashed?
They were leashed.
Both?
Yes, they were both leashed.
And Mr. Free, you sort of acknowledged that both of her dogs were on leashes.
I've only seen one dog. I didn't see two dogs, and I didn't see a child either. It was her and a dog. So
the dog that you saw, what kind of dog was that?
it looked like a husky. Looked kind of like a wolf, so I'm not sure.
So just a second. So you saw a husky.
Correct.
Did you see the plaintiff?
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you one more time.
Okay.
Was the husky on a leash?
I guess yes. I guess.
The answer is either yes or no.
I'm not sure. I wasn't,
okay, well,
I wasn't
if you're
looking at
not
the
sure,
leash.
she says the husky was on a leash.
Yeah, so I'm not going to deny her dog was
Okay. And your dog at the time was on your property unleashed.
My dog was on my property, period.
You don't pay careful attention. Your dog was on your property unleashed.
Correct.
At 12:30. And tell him to make a circle where he was and an X where he saw, for the first time, Miss Singleton and her dog. X where you were, just where you were, you personally.
Okay.
And put a circle, the place where you saw Miss Singleton for the first time. Okay. So you were in the front yard.
Correct.
And that looks about 30 feet away from where you saw Miss Singleton for the first time.
If that.
From here to here.
I'll say about 20 feet. You know. It's not as big as it looks on that picture. It's a pretty small yard.
I would say it's about 30 feet from where you put the X. It's all the way past the house. You're at the one side of the driveway. You have an entranceway to your house.
Correct.
And then you have, is this front a living room?
Yes, it is.
A living room, which is past that. And where you made a circle, which is a very large circle, is probably 10 feet away from the edge of the house.
Yes, that's what I know.
So I said it's about 30 feet away.
Okay.
And now I want you to put, can I have your pink Sharpie, please? Yes. Thank you very much. I want you to use this and put in this picture where your dog was at 12:30.
To get your understanding, you want
12:30. I want you to put a mark where your dog was immediately before you saw Miss Singleton and her dog.
Before, thank you. You're not going to be able to see.
Okay, great. Great. So your dog, according to you, was right next to you, about 30 feet away from where Miss Singleton was when you saw her.
To be honest with you,
dog.
he kind of moves around the yard. He doesn't sit still very much, so.
Well, you understand, Mr. Free, that even if your dog is on your property, you're supposed to maintain control of your dog all the time.
And which I
You
do.
understand that?
Yes, I do.
You understand that?
Yeah.
So if your dog is able to run 30 feet without being connected to you.
He didn't
just
run.
Walk, cha-cha, tap dance, pirouetted. However he got there, your dog got 30 feet away from where you were.
Correct.
Your 80-pound dog. Ultimately, her case comes down to she was walking her leashed dog. I haven't figured out whose fault it is yet. She was walking her leashed dog, and your dog ran, walked, pirouetted, cha-cha, whatever it did, to her dog out of your control.
Christine Singleton claims dog owner Kevin Free owes for vet bills from a dog fight.
Now, Miss Singleton was walking with her other dog and a 3-year-old. I want you to process that into your mind. And this is a 12-month-old, which is still a puppy. You know, still a puppy, but at 80 pounds...
Your Honor, there was no 3-year-old. I didn't see a 3-year-old.
Just a second.
Okay.
I don't care what you saw while you were busy putting together something for Christmas in your front yard. If you didn't see it, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. If you didn't see it, it just means you didn't see it. She tells me she sees it. She remembers walking her 2 dogs. You only remember 1. She has 2 that she was walking at 12:30 Christmas Day. The fact that you only saw 1 means you weren't paying attention to where your dog was.
Or they wasn't there.
Well, that's pretty stupid, Mr. Free.
I mean, it doesn't make sense to carry 2 dogs and an infant down a neighborhood you don't even belong in. I mean, you don't know from.
Mr. Free, they're only going to take 1 voice.
I understand. Yeah.
They're only going to take 1 voice, and that's mine. Let me tell you why your argument is stupid. Because it doesn't make any difference whether she was walking 2 dogs or 4 dogs or 8 dogs. It doesn't make any difference whether she was walking with or without a 3-year-old. Ultimately, her case comes down to she was walking her leashed dog. I haven't figured out whose fault it is yet. She was walking her leashed dog, and your dog ran, walked, pirouetted, cha-cha, whatever it did, to her dog out of your control. Was not under your control because it was not leashed. Do you understand?
I understand.
Now, I can take away everything else. Not that I'm going to, because I believe that you were distracted. You didn't see it. And I believed her that she was walking with her 3-year-old nephew.
Yes, ma'am.
Nephew and another dog that you didn't see. But that's not the issue in this case, whether she was with another dog, another child, or with anybody else. The issue is, whose fault is it that a dog was out of control? So now you're going to tell me what happened at 12:30 on Christmas Day, just so that Mr. Freed doesn't think that I'm picking on him.
Okay.
Which I'm not.
Okay, I know.
You may think I am, but I'm not picking on him. You're walking with your husky.
Yes, ma'am.
On a leash.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened?
I was walking with my nephew. He's 3 years old.
No, don't just listen to me.
Okay.
Listen to me carefully.
Okay, just walk down the street.
I
Okay.
said you're walking. I got it in my mind.
Okay.
But so Mr. Freed doesn't think that I'm being unfair to him, because he doesn't remember what he saw. You're walking your husky.
Okay, only him.
On the street. So your nephew didn't get hurt. Your rat terrier didn't get hurt.
That's correct.
Okay. So now you're walking your husky on the street. And?
Okay, and then all of a sudden we see a dog charging towards us. And
Who's we?
Oh, I called me, my nephew, and my dogs we.
No, now it's just I saw.
I saw a dog charging towards us. That dog and Leon got into an altercation, and then Leon turned around to try and kick the dog in the face, and he grabbed his foot and he let go.
Okay,
but then
let's go much slower.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
You saw a dog charging towards you.
Yes, ma'am.
And
that dog got into an altercation with my
your dog.
Yeah.
Tell me about that initial altercation.
At first, they were biting each other's muzzles.
Okay, so they were both biting each other's muzzles.
Yes.
Okay.
My dog turned around to try and, I guess...
No, don't tell me what he was trying to do. Your dog turned around.
He kicked the dog in the face.
Your dog kicked his dog in the face.
Yes, he grabbed his leg, punctured it, let it go. Leon kicked him again. This time he grabbed his other leg.
Okay, so your dog kicked that dog again?
Twice, yes.
His dog again?
Yes, ma'am.
And?
That dog that time grabbed his leg, had a good hold, and shook it immediately. And then that's when I knew his leg was broken.
No, don't show me pictures.
Okay.
First I have to find whose fault it is before I look at pictures and vet bills.
Okay.
Okay, now, when you saw his dog charging towards you, and your dog's name is Leon?
Yes, ma'am.
On a leash?
Yes, ma'am.
On a leash. But it's a big dog?
Yes, ma'am.
How much does it weigh?
Leon, 75 pounds.
So about the same as the defendant's dog?
Yes.
And it's a senior dog?
Yes, that is correct.
Has your dog ever had a history with another dog? I'm going to say it again. Has your dog ever had a history of an altercation with another dog?
No, ma'am.
Has your dog ever had a history of an altercation with another person?
No, ma'am.
And I assume if I asked you those questions, you would give me what answer, sir?
I would say no.
You would say no because?
Because my dog has never had any problems with any dogs.
With any dog?
Any dogs, person?
Any other person?
Correct.
So you would acknowledge, Miss Singleton, that I'm going to show you this photograph of Mr. Free's house. And what I'd like you to do is show me where, according to you, let's get her a different color pen. Do we have a different, well, we have, that's
This is blue.
Okay. I'd like you to make a P, to just put a P, where the dogs first made contact.
Thank you. Okay. It's not on this photo.
Is it on this photo? Do you have a photo?
I do have a photo.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Here.
Would you please make
This is his home, and this is where it happened, right underneath the tree.
Put a P there.
Okay.
Oh, so what you're saying is, where you put the P, that the dog was in the street?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Were you in the street?
I sure was.
I would like you to put a D in this picture where you say, did you see Mr. Free?
I did not until he came and retrieved his animal.
Did you see where he came from?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Did you see anything being assembled in the yard?
Once we were leaving, yes.
And what did you see?
A basketball goal.
A basketball goal?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that what you were putting together, Mr. Free?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you show me where that was, please? It was here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, Mr. Free, you're putting something together. The first thing you hear is a kerfuffle, some sort of a...
No.
What do you hear? Dogs are animals. They're not as smart as you are. But when your dog charged out into the street, it could just as easily have gotten hit by a car. That would have been your fault. Your dog was out in a public street outside of your control, and it's a big dog, and you should be more careful.
Christine Singleton claims dog owner Kevin Free is responsible for injuries after his dog attacked her dog.
No, I saw my dog run across the yard. So.
And? You saw the dog running across the yard.
Well, normally I really don't have a problem with him.
Let me explain something to you.
Yeah. Okay.
My job that I'm really good at is telling when people are peeing on my leg and trying to tell me it's raining.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Now, I could tell immediately from your body language that you were beginning to tell me a whole bunch of who shot John. So I suggest to you, Mr. Free, that if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. Now, I want to explain to you why that's so important. Did you hear Miss Singleton? Miss Singleton actually said that her dog nipped yours in the face.
Correct.
She said that.
Correct.
She didn't have to tell me that. She said her dog not only nipped your dog in the face because they were fighting muzzle to muzzle, but afterwards kicked your dog twice. Do you understand? That's what she said.
I heard that, yeah.
That's what she said about that. That's sort of, that's sort of surprising. That would seem to someone.
It surprises me that dogs can get up on their front legs and kick too. So I don't know what she's saying to you, but I don't know. I didn't see any kicking.
Listen to
the fight lasted like 3 seconds. It wasn't. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do you understand when you're not telling the truth, Mr. Free?
Well, I think what you read from me is me responding to a whole bunch of stuff that was said that didn't.
No, what me responding to you is your body English. That's me responding to you because you were putting together this thing, but you said it was here.
Correct. It was in the driveway. It's pretty big.
Well, this isn't a driveway, sir. That's grass. That's what you marked where you were. And you marked where your dog was in the grass.
Asked me where I was.
Just a second.
Not the basketball goal.
No, I asked you where you were.
Yeah,
and you said here. And then you said to me, please read it back. Where were you? And you said, I believe he said he was in the driveway.
Correct. It was in the driveway.
I apologize. Excuse me.
Just a second. Driveway.
Okay.
Do you understand?
I do.
Eventually, it noodles its way out, sir. The same way it noodles its way out to, my memory is correct, in your answer you wrote down, you saw them for the first time in the street.
On the, what we call a curve. It's a small slope that comes up from down. Not all the way in the street, no.
No. Here, you see what happens, Mr. Free?
Yeah.
What you just said to me belies credulity.
Well, I'm trying to be as
just a
precise
second,
as I
but
can.
not
Excuse me.
because, you know, I've lived on this planet almost 80 years. And if I have a choice between walking in the street and walking in that little dip that's designed to take rainwater away, I don't walk in that thing because I'll get killed. I'll break my legs. And you certainly don't walk in this little thing if you're walking two dogs and a child. You don't walk in that little drain that's carved out here to take rainwater away. You walk either on the grass, on everybody's grass,
correct,
or you walk in the street.
Makes sense.
And you, sir, would have me believe that the plaintiff walked all the way around the block, walking on people's grass. Other than that, she would have to be in the street and decide, well, I think I'm going to go up on the grass in this guy's
house. I
house.
wouldn't say that.
What?
Sometimes it's unavoidable, so I'm not saying that at all.
Sir, I have to tell you something.
Yeah.
You're going to pay her vet bills. Your dog was out of your control and was in the street, not on your grass. In the street. You had no control over your dog, an 80-pound puppy. Now, the dog could have, just playfully, knocked over the 3-year-old and hurt the 3-year-old. Could have, didn't. Got into a scuffle with a dog approximately the same size. Her dog was leashed, within her control. Your dog, you had to run from where you were putting this together and come and get your dog.